Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm back. It's your favorite executive coach and expat, Michael Tucker, coming to you live from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. I am excited because I get to share with you an amazing experience I just had visiting Abha, Saudi Arabia. I was invited to visit by one of the leaders that I coach. I want to share with you a little bit about what I learned about the city of Abha, also about visiting the home of a Saudi guest, and share with you a few key points that will make you a star when you show up in the best way when you visit your Saudi guest. And I'm trusting that you will visit them because you'll spend some time in Saudi Arabia sooner than later. So, about Abha, where is it? Riyadh is right in the middle of the country. If you go west towards the Red Sea and then south towards Yemen, you'll find Abha. It's about a 2 hour flight outside of Riyadh, and it's a very easy flight. I was able to book the flight pretty quickly. And this time I flew an airline called Fly a Deal. That's quite the name of an airline, but it was my first time taking that airline, and they arrived safely. They arrived on time. It was overall a great experience. Now, many people think that Saudi Arabia is only a desert, but it's not. In Abha, there are trees, and because it's the rainy season, it rains several times a day. And there are also mountains in Abha. In fact, the highest mountain in Saudi Arabia is in Abha. And so I had the opportunity to hike a little bit. We didn't go all the way to the top of the highest mountain, but we did hike to the top of another one and just spend some time there. And contrary to popular belief, that there are only camels in Saudi Arabia. In Abha, no, no, no. There are monkeys. That's right. I was able to see a number of monkeys on the side of the mountain, just hanging out, enjoying each other, enjoying themselves, enjoying the guests. So, surprise, surprise, beautiful mountains, wonderful rain, and monkeys in Abha. Now, if you are ever invited to visit a Saudi guest, I want to share with you a few of the things that I learned in my experience. First and foremost, that being invited, it is a sacred experience. It is a deep desire for connection and trust, and that's why you're being invited. And so it's always important to treat that experience as such. And what I will tell you is that you will experience, like I did, unmatched hospitality. My guest was warm, his family was gracious, they were so kind. And in my situation, it wasn't super formal. Now, when you're invited to your Saudi guest home, maybe it's a little bit different. And that's why it's important to ask what you should expect, because you never know. In fact, we were invited to a wedding and I was all excited to go. And so I brought clothes for the wedding. We never made it to the wedding because we had other plans, but you never know how you need to show up. Now, if you want to show up in the best way, bring a gift. This is one of the things that I missed. And I didn't realize I missed it until I noticed one of the other guests bringing a gift. That was something that I forgot. Honey, dates. These are wonderful gifts, chocolate. Sweets are really big here in Saudi Arabia. So bring a gift. Also, expect your experience to be in Arabic. And I know you're thinking, oh my gosh, I don't speak Arabic. I won't understand anything. And you might be right and you might not be right about this. And what I mean by this is, instead of being frustrated that everything is in Arabic, and this is not to say that it will be 100% of the time. All of the gentlemen that were with the group that I was with, well, most of them spoke English, but they were amongst each other. And I was a guest in their home, so they spoke Arabic. So instead of being frustrated that you're listening to Arabic for 5 hours like I was, I use this time as an opportunity to connect in a deeper way. What I did was I paid attention to the body language. I paid attention to tone. I watched people's posture. I watched their sense of humor, who was laughing, who wasn't, who was talking, who wasn't. This was an opportunity to really, really just communicate without saying a word. And the thing that I wanted to communicate most from my heart, and I would invite you to do the same, is appreciation and gratitude. What an opportunity for you to be with your host in their home and their reality. What an opportunity. And so that was the energy that I brought to that experience. And I think that if you bring this type of energy, your guests will feel it and they will know. Now, in my case, I was primarily, well, 100% with men. And so what this looked like was me spending time with the guest, his father, other men who came to visit from my organization and from the community. And interestingly enough, after I left, I learned from my guests that there were 23 other people in the house. And I didn't get a chance to meet them all. But again, that is their way and the way their house was designed and laid out to be able to accommodate such a big family. And these are all family members. So that's a big thing about Saudi. Family is huge and they cherish it and they spend a lot of time with family. And so it's an honor to be invited into such a sacred space. Now, if you visit your Saudi host home, be open-minded, try new things, try new foods, be open to new experiences. I had the opportunity to have a Saudi dinner, a traditional dinner, consisted of lamb, the whole lamb, all the fat from the lamb, which is actually quite tasty, um, and rice. And everyone sat on the floor. We ate around a table, and we all ate with our hands. And so there's a certain way I learned how to use my hands to eat food. And that was a really different experience for me because it was done and eating food with hands was done in community in a certain way. And I will tell you, the food was absolutely delicious. I didn't know that you could make lamb so tasty. And it was a joy to receive some guidance and some coaching, if you will, from the leaders around me about how to best appreciate their culture. The final thing I'll say is if you are given an opportunity to visit the home of a Saudi family, this is not an opportunity necessarily for you to post every photo you could possibly do for the gram. This is not for the gram. This is a sacred experience. And if your guests invite you to take some pictures, that's fine. But don't pull out your phone and start taking pictures of everything. That's disrespectful. Not only that, everything that you see and everything that you experience in that home is for you and your guest. So keep it between you and your guest. You don't talk about those experiences. You may talk about the overarching experiences, or the overarching experience, but the specific conversations that you have and who was there and all of these kinds of things, that is for you and your guests. Please show respect by showing discretion. So, with that being said, I hope that very soon you'll have the opportunity to visit the home of a Saudi guest. I hope that you'll have the opportunity to visit Abha. It is quite the experience, and frankly, it's so much cooler than Riyadh. I think it was maybe 18 degrees Celsius there, so about 70, 75 degrees Fahrenheit. It was just a welcome break from the heat. And I hope you get to experience it soon. If you have questions, feel free to shoot me a message. I'll do my best to get back to you. Until next time.